everybody! Welcome to the new season of Voices of Hope. So, now that we've gotten ourselves off and running, we're going to discuss some things that you may be familiar with, some policies and procedures. I'm going to touch on several things that you need to know, and then I'll turn off the camera and we can have question and answers at the end. So, I'm just going to go down my list. I kind of sort of numbered it to make sense, but it may be a little out of order. So, robes and box numbers. You may notice that there is a corresponding color that goes with your number now. If you do not have a robe yet and or box number, we will make sure that you get one. You need to make that make your interest known to Chris Reed at this point. Chris, would you raise your hand? She's wearing the very tropical shirt there. Okay, so that's Chris, and that's the person that you need to make sure that you get a robe and a box number so that we can get a folder, assuming that you want to come back next week. Okay? Now, don't worry, we're not actually singing until September 11th, so we have time to do that kind of stuff, but we want to make sure all that works out. So, why do we have colors now? Well, it makes it a little bit easier for people that become accustomed to walking in and reaching generally towards where your stuff might be, and helps guide your eye to a specific location that's the right one every time. You'll also notice that your names are now to the left of your box, so that there's less of a risk of you going, is mine the one above this or the one below this? Okay? So we're trying to avoid having people get music taken by somebody else. Okay? In light of having music taken, please understand that when we do pieces here, and I purchase copies for the choir, at this time I'm purchasing 85 copies, you will receive one that has your corresponding number on it that is yours to use until it's sung. At that point, when it's sung, we expect it to be returned. The specifics of all of that process are outlined on this form, which I'll go over in a little bit. And if you don't know where that is, I'll tell you where to get it. But if something happens to that, obviously that costs money, and I need to know about it, because if you don't return it, we'll find you. Karen Wilkinson is like a dog on a bone. All right? She will hunt you down. And seriously, though, so if you show up and you don't have your music, you won't receive another original. All right? You're only going to get one, and from that point forward, it's going to be photocopies for you to destroy afterwards if, for whatever reason you need extras. So just keep that in mind. Section leaders and group representatives. We call them section leaders in this ensemble because we have sections, voice parts, tenor, alto, soprano, bass. In Brotherhood of Harmony and Sisters in Song, they're a group rep because it's a smaller ensemble and it doesn't take as many people to get the job done. But some of those people are present tonight, and I'm praying that I've done a decent job of communicating with all of them so that they're not surprised by me calling them out right now. But some people are not back yet. So, if you hear your name called and you are present, stand up so your section can see you. The section leader for Voice of Hope Sopranos, Karen Umbrello and Chris Colgrove. Yay! Voice of Hope Altos, Marcia Sondergaard, Karen Wilkinson. Yay! I'm getting a no. Okay, we'll have a conversation later. All right. Voice of Hope Tenors, Judy Brown and Howard Wood. Yay! Howard Wood's a loser. He's not here tonight. Voice of Hope Basses, Ken Qualheim and Jim Umbrello. Yay! I know that the Umbrellos aren't here yet. That's all right. Now, the others are pertaining to other groups, so pay no attention to those right now. Those are the people that need to be your first course of action. If you need something, if you need to communicate, if you really want to tell me something desperately, talk to them first, okay? Because when I get 65 people that all need my attention before, during, or after the rehearsal, it gets pretty difficult. So please go to them first and let them act as an intermediary, either to answer your question because they have some answers, or to let me know what we need to do. Okay? They can also be emailed now. Yay. I don't want you to email them if you change your phone number or email address. I want you to email them if you know you're going to be away at some point, because that information is something they can grab, synthesize, and then funnel towards me later on down the road. And that's less likely for me to let that stuff build up and not have time to get to it. So learn their email addresses. It's all on that sheet I was telling you. Okay? And we'll make sure that we take care of that. Okay, number 3. I have some important folks to point out to you who have been integral in keeping us going this summer. A lot of people think, oh, well, it's just a summer, you know, time off, whatever. And quite frankly, we have been on a 2-year quest to turn this department around and get it to where it's organized and running smoothly and equally represented organizationally back there in that room as well as on the computer. And that's taken an extraordinarily long time because I am a disorganized person. And some of it's just figuring out what works best for me and then begging people to help me come up with the solution. So I'm going to name those people now, and they're going to be embarrassed, but I don't care. Judy Brown has acted as my assistant all summer as a volunteer to help oversee the fact that cantors need to be scheduled, soloists need to be contacted, and I just need to basically, you know, remember where I put my pencil. So would you give Judy a round of applause? All right. Carol Makis has faithfully, just about once a week, for several hours at a time, often through lunch, sat behind the computer desk and doggedly represented everything on the computer and the database from what's back here, including hours of going through music, asking me, do we really want to keep this, finding out whether this thing is right or not, and just overall just getting it to where we can actually have a system that works well. So Carol Makis, thank you very much. Kathy Farmer is the person who keeps your attendance records updated and lets the computer know when you change your information. She's obviously not in Voices of Hope if you didn't know that, but she is also readily available to be on call for me for things like that. She also did something really, really cool, and I have to brag on her. I asked her to take all the attendance information on a month-by-month basis from all of last season, and then she built me a bar graph, section by section, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, to tell me what percentage of each group was here in the course of that month, so that when I plan anthems this coming month, or this coming year, and I know that it's 2 weeks after Easter and we're going to have half our sopranos gone, I don't pick something that's hard. So that took a long time for her to figure out, and it seems like, why would she waste her time on that? But trust me, it was valuable. So thank you, Kathy. Jim Conover, you may not know, is the one that initiates the email blasts. Although they come out from Music Update, he's the one that actually is at home typing those up every week, grabbing those information that says that, you know, Chris Colgrove and Susan Blamenberg are going to be the cantors this Sunday, and puts that all together, and then I double check it and send it out. So thank you, Jim. Our intake and our outflow music assistants are just now kind of coming back from a brief hiatus because they didn't have a lot to do this summer, but now their job really starts, as Chris Reed will no doubt tell you, since I had about, how many copies of music for you to number in the past 2 weeks? Like 1,000, maybe? Yeah. So Chris Reed is the person that numbers and stamps all your music, puts it in your boxes, and then Karen Wilkinson is the person who makes sure that you get it, that she gets it back and puts it back in the file drawers. So thanks to both of them, they are present. And finally, my just oversight committee to remind me when I'm doing something incredibly stupid or, you know, whatever. Brenda and Woody, you know, are my are my advisory committee to help make sure that I don't, you know, do a horrible job and get fired. So thank you to them. I mean, obviously, you know, Mom is available to accompany the choir. She also helped a few of you solo-wise this summer, for learning pieces. And she does a whole lot more than that. She types up lyrics for the anthems and sends them to me so we can get them in. She is emailing me constantly, hey, what about this? Did you remember this? Blah, blah, blah. So Brendan, Woody, or Brenda, since Woody's not here, thanks to them. And I'll mention one more that you may already know as well, but it's important that we try to keep a family atmosphere here despite the fact that we're getting larger, and that's good. And we want people to feel included, and we don't want people to fall through the cracks, which is why, I've already mentioned Chris that she's doing that for our sympathy committee. I don't know what else to call that. Sunshine? We have a band called that already here. So. Is it spelled with a U or an O? No, I'm just joking. And then, but we also have a social committee here so that we can make sure that a couple of times a year we can get together and party down a little bit and be Lutherans, like all of you all like to be. And Marilyn Gerke is in charge of that and overseeing that to make sure that we get our potluck dinners and stuff like that. So Marilyn, she's here, I know. Will you let people know who you are? All right. I think I covered all that, and if I forgot anybody, please forgive me. You can yell at me later. All right, moving on. So we have a couple of things that I need to have passed around. Judy, could I talk about this while you come down and grab them and then distribute? All right. Now, you may not realize that the majority of your contact information I don't actually keep on file because all we do is email. Anything beyond that goes into church windows in the front office. I've got 3 sopranos, 2 altos, 1 tenor, 2 bass. So you can kind of go from either side. Okay. And the point is that they still want to know if you move or if you change your phone number. So that can come through me just like it has before. But what I really care about is that we have the right email so you can receive things that we send out electronically. I know of 2 people right now who don't, and that's understandable. So if you don't have one or something has happened, you let me know. Also on this form, it is important that you check the spelling of your name and just give me a yes or no. Check your email, like I said, yes or no, and give me the right one if it's wrong. And we need to know your preferred service. Now, before you freak out, I am not splitting the choir this year. We talked about that a little bit as a potential. It's not going to happen. What we had done in the past and what we will continue to do at this point is beg as many people as possible to come to 8 o'clock. And then if you'd like to stay till 9:45 and leave after the anthem, you may do so. Now, that still presents logistical concerns that I will address in a little while. However, if you prefer the 8 o'clock and may not stay at 9:45, then you check 8 o'clock. If you will not be here at 8 o'clock because it's too early and you will come at 9:45 most regularly, check that one. If you, under normal circumstances, will be here at 8 and stay till 9:45, anthem is over, check both. Does everybody understand that? That way, I have a better idea and I can get valuable information for things like seating charts and just what I can expect as far as going into the season. So I need that information. And if you're not sure, don't put a question mark, just guess and do your best. But most of you pretty much know at this point which service you normally come to. So put that on there for me. And that will be it. Okay, moving on. Seating charts, as I already mentioned. Anybody know what information is most valuable to me to consider a seating chart? No. Not valuable to me. Valuable to others, yes. Cozy. And I'm not saying that I'm going to disregard that. You may think that just the fact that you stay versus leave at 9:45 is valuable. Yes, it has a value. But what is most valuable to me about seating charts is a blend of the choir. Is making sure that if you are a weaker singer, that you are standing next to a stronger singer, and vice versa. So we can get a blend in the ensemble that assists everybody equally. Okay? Now, in order to create that, obviously there has to be some things put in place. And I will just say this, that if you don't already have a copy of Surely the Presence of the Lord is in This Place that you can find in there, you need to get one and familiarize yourself with it. We learned it last year. It will be very beneficial to you starting next week. Okay? You're going to need it. All right? And once I can get that information together, you're going to start seeing seating charts created. And then it might be a moving thing. It might be an ongoing process, but just realize that that's what I'm looking at. Okay? Now, as I mentioned, Judy was kind enough to act as my assistant over the summer. However, we've also been in a job hunt to try to find someone to hire for that position. And I am happy to tell you that we found somebody. Bob Zahner is not here tonight because he came to an audition for the handbells and conducted them on Wednesday and did a great job. And provided he's not a felon, I think he's going to be fine. So we have to put everything into perspective. But basically, once I get all the formalities and ducks finished in the row, he's going to be here starting next week. So I can tell you more about him at a later time, but he's extremely qualified. He's had my job in other churches and conducted choirs. He was a choral director in schools for 20 years, just recently retired. He is a lyric tenor, he is a guitarist, and he is proficient at teaching handbells. So pretty much he's going to make me look bad because he's so good. Okay? So I'm thrilled because it's kind of been touch and go with how the process has happened. But so he's going to be on hand next week. Be kind because he won't know you all yet. But he's going to be the one that you're going to talk to instead of me. So, I don't have my music. Talk to Bob. All right, so that's that. Forms. Okay, so if you don't already know, there are some hanging boxes in the choir room, and they pertain to different groups. The ones that matter to you right now in this ensemble are VOH, which is Voices of Hope. So anything that's specific to this group but that I don't want to distribute 80 copies of into your box is going to be in there. That's where you can find the schedule. It takes you through Christmas. Okay? That music is in there. This will also tell you how you can order your folder if you'd like so that your music is in there in the proper order. And if it says TBA, it's because I haven't picked everything yet, like for Reformation. Also in there is something important to those who are new. Hope Lutheran Church Music Department 2016-17 Choral Group Policies and Procedures. This is designed to help you and answer your questions if you don't know what goes on here. Now, I have to say that I didn't include things like the door will be locked if you show up 15 minutes late or you leave to go get your glasses in your car, Larry McCandless. But so there are some things that we will encounter along the way, but for the most part, the big stuff is here. How things work, what we expect, all that kind of stuff. And we are also talking about kind of a new member sheet that has a little bit more of the other details, like normally we show up a half an hour early before services for rehearsal, and the doors lock at 7:35 or whatever. But for now, that's what we have. So get one of these because it's going to answer a lot of your questions. It's going to have your group reps and your section leaders on there. It talks about taking care of your music, choir robes, service procedures, other preparation. And then on the back, it has an alphabetized robe list. Now, if you're not sure, you can look your name up by last name and go, A, Norita. There she is, number 44. Okay? If you want to see the numeric one, that's in there as well. All right? Okay. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we have the issue at 9:45 that we encountered last year about exiting properly. So, after tonight, not tonight, but after tonight, there will be a specified exit procedure that we will use at the end of every choral gathering in this space, whether it be rehearsal, whether it be service, complete service, partial service, or anything else. We're going to exit that way. That way, we're practicing it all the time, and then by the time it matters, you guys will have it, and we won't have to do the little like Sunday morning just double check thing that we did last year. So we're gonna work on that, and I'll make sure to have that for you next time, so that we can get out of here as quickly and efficiently as possible. Okay, I already mentioned surely the presence of the Lord. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, that is a piece of music that we use at the beginning of every traditional service for call to worship, until I change it, which may happen this year, believe it or not. And that is found in the Voices of Hope hanging box over there. Okay? All right. Other things you need to know about hanging box materials are the papers like these. Anticipated absences and conflicts, contact info. Okay? This is a variation of what we used last year. If you're not an emailer or you're thinking about something right now and you want to grab one of these and put your information on there that's changed, use these. Anytime you want to come and tell me, oh, by the way, I'm not going to be here next week, don't do that. Use this instead. And then give this to your section leader or group representative. Okay? These can be found in the general music information box. I forget what I called it. I moved a couple of them so they're not hanging behind the door anymore. So they're all in there in that corner. So you can find all this stuff in there and use that, please. Where was I? Okay, a couple of new things that you may notice if you look carefully at the choral schedule. Aside from Voices of Hope, which is this standing ensemble that sings weekly at anthems, there are two variations on a theme, three if you count cantata, that I need you to know about. The first is Sunshine Celebration Choir. Okay? You recall Pentecost, many of you, when we had a choir on this side and we had the band on that side. All right? We're looking to do that about 4 times a year in the course of between now and next August for a 4 o'clock service and a corresponding 11:30 service the day after, about 3 months apart. Okay? So it's not nearly as extensive as what we did at Pentecost, and it also won't be nearly as complex or difficult with regards to the arrangements. We're going to put that choir together a week before the service we do it, have another rehearsal the day of, and then we put it up on that weekend. So when you see SCC, that's what it refers to. You have the option of participating in that or not. You may get people from the congregation who want to sing in that group who come at 4 who don't sing in the choir. That's fine too. So just know what that's referring to. Another volunteer group I don't really have a cool name for is the group of people that we're going to get together to sing at Thanksgiving Eve. I'm not requiring Voices of Hope to all be there. If you want to sing because you're here, no problem. If you don't, no problem. The Thanksgiving Eve service will be another volunteer group. We have an anthem for it. We'll do that service. I'm going to get them to change it to earlier so it's done, because like it used to be at 7:30, but now it's going to be at 6. So we'll be out of here a little sooner, so that'll be nice. But basically, the Thanksgiving choir is a volunteer thing. It's got its own separate, like, one-time rehearsal as well, so just keep that in mind. And then finally, something you are probably familiar with is the cantata choir. So, as has been in the past, Voices of Hope is kind of just assumed. Y'all are here, you're singing in the cantata, unless you tell me you're going to be gone. Okay? And then we got people that don't sing in this group that want to sing with the cantata. Some of them might be in another smaller ensemble like Brothers of Harmony or Sisters in Song, a couple of Sunshine people, or it may be people from the congregation that don't sing in anything else at all. All right. I'm going to change the way we do rehearsals this year. It's not going to affect you all, but it is going to affect everybody else, and they're going to want to know about it, and I know you're going to tell them. So, we are going to rehearse the cantata as we have in the past. In the next month or so, we'll start here on Thursday nights, but I'm not going to specify how long it's going to last. I'm not going to gauge the entire rehearsal around different groups of people coming and going, getting up and leaving. If you're here already for Voices of Hope, you'll get a cantata rehearsal somewhere in that time frame. Okay? If you are not in this ensemble but you want to sing with that group, don't worry, you still can. However, we get people coming all the way through Reformation who want to join that group because Reformation is the first big service we do. So we're not even going to start rehearsing that group until after Reformation is over, which means 1 month, November, 4 weekends, and those people are going to have to be at 2 out of those 4. The first 2 weekends are going to be Saturday rehearsals. The last 2 weekends are going to be Sunday rehearsals, and they're going to be 2-hour blocks. The idea being, I'm going to hold separate rehearsals for all those other folks at a different time, and they need to be at a certain amount of them. They can get their music and CD and learn it in advance, and then whether or not they choose to join is based on how available they are. So if people want to join the cantata, but they want to go on a cruise and not be here for any rehearsals, sorry, it's not going to work out. Okay? So I'll specify that and make that specific. That applies more to folks who are not here weekly than it does to you folks. Okay? And then at the very end, we're going to put it all together and then put it up in the middle. But as you recall last year, with the size and everything, and we're getting up and we're having rehearsals out here in the pews, it just makes it unnecessarily too difficult. So that's why we're splitting that off. So it's not that I'm keeping people from singing it who are not in Voices of Hope. I'm just having a separate set of rehearsals for them that's a little more in depth and lasts a little longer and doesn't start as soon. Okay? When we get closer to that time, I'll make that available. If you guys want to come to any of those and help seed the ensemble, so I have some strong singers there, you're welcome to, but it's not a requirement. You guys just need to come to these ones here. Okay? So that's cantata. So I'm just about finished, but I need to... Bye, guys. Thanks.